Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. If you look at the calendar, if you pay attention to such things, and I hope you do, we are 36 days away from the midterm elections. This is big stuff. This is important stuff. This is the chance to make some huge corrections and to regain a bit of control and maybe throw out the brakes on some things. Joining me to talk about that from the National Shooting Sports Foundation, Matt Manda joins us right now, talking about the Project GunVote. Hey, Matt, welcome.
Tom, it's great to be with you. Glad to hear you are way up to 90, 95 and better health, which is better than lower numbers. So it's great to be on the show to talk with you, and glad to hear your health is back.
I'm glad too. I got tired of not hearing anything, going, wow, I can't talk at all. So, I mean, and look, the whole not talking things is bad when you're a radio guy.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I would
there
think
you
so.
Go. Yeah. So, all right. So, National Shooting Sports Foundation is the industry trade association. A lot of people, they think that NRA lobbies for gun makers. Actually, it's the National Shooting Sports Foundation that represents gun makers, ammo makers, people in the gun business, but also is very much involved in trying to get out the vote with the GunVote, hashtag GunVote and gunvote.org. Tell me about this project and what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're exactly right. We represent everybody on the before the side of the cash register, before you purchase that firearm or that ammo or everything, and then after you purchase it, you'd be with the NRA and everything like that. So you're correct there. And good thing you mentioned up the countdown calendar, because I was going to bring that up. Right, if you go to gunvote.org. We bring up a countdown clock there, 36 days and 16 hours and change to go. And it is our one-stop shop education on your elected members of Congress and the Senate and presidential candidates in the presidential years. We're not there this year, obviously, but right. It is the midterm elections. And like you said, there's a great opportunity to put the brakes on some stuff. I think that there is going to be a good wave of pro-Second Amendment representatives flipping seats from those that might vote against our interests. And all of that information can be found one-stop shop. And it is a really, really interesting election year to watch.
No kidding.
Given the last 2 years. Specifically, we know from our retailer data, there's probably about 25 million new first-time gun owners. There were 20 million between 2020 and 2021, so we don't have the full year data for this year, but that number is going to be slightly higher too. So there are a lot of people that are that went out. We know for a fact a lot of them were previously for some degree of gun control. They jumped off the fence. They bought themselves a firearm, and as a result of that, they've really lived through the policies that they've supported in the past. So there has been a sea change of recognition about Second Amendment rights across the country. And this is going to be the first federal election cycle where those 25 million new first-time gun owners really head to the polls and consider that. And when you're talking about flipping House district seats to get back a Second Amendment majority, those numbers really filter down across the country and will have a tremendous impact. So the more educated you can be, the better, and your one-stop shop there is at gunvote.org or on social media with the hashtag GunVote.
Matt, it occurs to me, you talk about all these new millions and millions of new gun owners. And I think for them, well, all gun owners to some extent, but to them especially, I think they're probably susceptible to some of the misinformation from some of the candidates who give you the whole, I support hunters' rights, I support gun rights, but blah, blah, we need reasonable restrictions and all that. And sometimes if you're not really into this, you don't know the buzzwords, you don't know the history, and it's a little bit hard to decipher when somebody is blowing smoke when they're really not a gun rights person. They're not even a Second Amendment person in any form or fashion. And you have helped on your website to break some of that down with your congressional scorecard.
Yes, which, again, you beat me to it, but that congressional scorecard is linked directly there on the very first stop shop page at gunvote.org. But included it. You're exactly right there. We welcome everybody into the gun owning community, and there is always an education, any degree of experience with a firearm owner. You can always get more education. And to your point, specifically, the hottest buzzword from the other side of the aisle, is banning assault weapons, so-called.
Right.
And the fact is that modern sporting rifles, just a basic semi-automatic rifle, centerfire, the most popular selling centerfire semi-automatic rifle in the country, more out there than Ford F-150s, we know from some industry data. But obviously over this span of historic firearm purchasing for the last few years, handguns have been the most popular. Self-defense has been the number one reason. That's not surprising, given the escalation of sort of community violence and riots that we saw a couple years ago, the lockdowns.
Right.
Law enforcement was getting stretched thin. People were really, really concerned with their safety, and they still are. So handguns were, that was a significant portion of the firearms purchased. But modern sporting rifles were right there. And there was a story, I'm blanking on the media outlet that posted it, just maybe like a week or two ago, where the reporter broke down some of the sales data of modern sporting rifles, and they are popular across all demographics of people who are buying firearms. So more people are recognizing it's like a third of households of white Americans own them, a third of African Americans own them, a third of Hispanic Americans. These are firearms that people are commonly purchasing.
Right. When they broke it down that way, it was interesting. Actually, it was almost like up at 40% on Hispanics, because the Hispanics actually had a higher firearms ownership than other groups.
Yes. And so they're to your point, people are learning more. They're recognizing what a assault weapon, so-called assault weapon ban would do or not do to cut down on criminal gun violence. And
which is zero.
They are they're seeing through the ruse. And I think one of the really, really interesting that I am certainly paying attention to and will be watching when you brought up Hispanic Americans buying firearms is the Hispanic American voter share and perception of Second Amendment rights has changed dramatically, even over the past 10 years, but especially very recently. In 2012, there is polling that showed that about 42% of Hispanic Americans preferred Democratic legislators to Republican, just a general election ballot preference, 42%. That is down to 21 points. That has dropped by half in 10 years. And you're seeing that play out in districts on the federal level in Texas and in Florida, where we've seen millions and millions of dollars. Michael Bloomberg infamously used $1 billion of his own change last election cycle to try to flip seats, and he lost all of them. And you just saw Representative Mayra Flores in deep southern Texas in a district that Biden won by 7 or 8 points. That was overwhelmingly Democratic voter representative. She won that on a message loud and clear of supporting gun rights.
Hey, Matt, let me jump in here because we're going to run out of time here, and I don't want to I want to let people know, look, you can't vote if you're not registered, so you got to click a button on this to click on register to vote. Got information on absentee and early voting. You can find your polling place. You can do whatever you need to do. It is just so critically important that we not sit on our rear ends. We get out and vote. And these days, you can vote early. You don't have to do it on the actual election day in most states. So if you want to go hunting on November the 8th, go hunting, but vote before you go.
Yeah, that's right. All of those links directly there. You can find your polling, you can find absentee ballot information, early voting, all of that is there. And most importantly, the scorecard and tracking your elected officials on their records.
Yeah, to go through, to make your way through all the smoke and stuff that they throw out there. Matt,
Absolutely.
Look, I appreciate it. I know we're out of time here. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for this website. It is incredible. What a great resource.
Yep, online, gunvote.org, or on social media with the hashtag GunVote. Thanks, Tom.
Perfect. Matt Manda, thank you from the NSSF. All right.